Which three-letter agencies do you think that Trump should dismantle first? At the top, I know it's the people that work in those agencies are good people. It's the top, it's the leadership that has to be dismantled. So where do you think he needs to start?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's 400 plus organizations, government organizations as of today, like 400 plus, and that number continues to grow. When I got my bachelor's degree in Homeland Security and crisis response, one of my focuses was on the IC, the intelligence community, because I mean, I wanted to be a career CIA officer. I wanted to be a paramilitary operations officer. And I figured I would likely spend the rest of my life in that organization working in the basement. And when I started to see all the overlap, the lack of interoperability, the infighting, all the drama between these organizations, I realized in the 17 at the time intelligence organizations that were basically doing the same job, this needed to be trimmed and cut down. I would immediately reduce the FBI. I don't think it needs to be abolished, but look, they have a tenure, and their tenure after 9/11 wasn't just investigating federal crimes. It became counterterrorism. And it's like, how many organizations do you have combating counterterrorism? You have a lot. You don't need the redundancy of the Federal Bureau of Investigation that works for the DOJ, that is typically pushed in a direction via the administration, being used as an action arm for a rogue president who wants to go after his opponents. I think that entire system is broken. And I would reduce, like, they want to build the new FBI headquarters and they want to invest millions of dollars into this system. That's the one I would cut down, but immediately I would abolish the IRS. Immediately, yep. I would abolish the IRS. The fact that American taxpayers don't get a say very specifically into where their taxpayer dollars are going, where these are going into trillions of dollars over the course of a generation to fight in foreign proxy wars. It's like asinine. The fact that, you know, a federal mandate would require my taxpayer dollars to go to aborting a full-term child, like, I don't want that. The way to fix it, abolish the IRS, where they just hired 37,000 new agents under Harris and the Walls. Abolish that entire organization and do it the right way, which Trump is proposing, which is to utilize the tariffs and taxes of trade, of commerce, to be able to pay for the debt that we owe. I mean, it's like, it's a bizarre conundrum where you have state, federal, and local sales tax that you're getting taxed all the time. And then you have a Harris-Walls campaign where a person is voting for a 40% tax bracket on corporate tax. It's like, if you're a business owner like I am, like you are in America, you wouldn't be able to survive under that idea.
No.
Because the idea is socialist, Marxist. It's all about like the system providing the output, which means we're going to collect everybody's taxes, we're going to redisseminate it, and then that's going to be the way that we thrive. That's how nobody thrives.
Nobody. So, it's never worked.
Nobody's going to thrive that way. So I would abolish the IRS immediately. And there's a whole bunch of organizations that are on the docket. I mean, the Department of Education, gross. Like, the entire thing, again, local and state governments can govern their own education processes. Like, I am it's very frugal and very free here in Utah. There's no curriculum. I don't have a mandate where I have to take my child to school. I could homeschool. But in most states, they don't have that. And then they have the Department of Education federally pushing, you know, all of these things down kids' throats, that, you know, wokeism and DEI and all this stuff. It's like, dude, keep that out of education. There's probably half of the departments in the government that Elon Musk on January 21st is going to cut. And I'm glad, because we need somebody to do it. That was my biggest fear, by the way. Derek, is like, my biggest fear had everything to do with the uncontrollable growth while running up a $35 trillion deficit what $1 trillion a year since 2001, continuing to just grow a massive debt while we don't see a way out, while we're continuing to grow the government. That was the scariest thing, because that's how a country becomes tyrannical, because before you know it, more people are employed by the government than they are employed by the capitalist that's trying to grow a business in your local community.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that these things are going to get cut like they should.
Abby, can you pull up the I saw this number the other day. I can't remember what it was, but how many government employees there already are? It's astronomical. It's an insane amount.
The biggest employer in the country by far,
right,
is the U.S. government.
We could talk about like these government agencies. Then we could talk about the NGOs, the non-government organizations that are just they're using them to funnel money and immigrants across the border. It's just the amount of money that's being made on illegal immigration blows my mind. It really does. They have $40-50 million contracts with the government
It's wild.
to bring people across the border. And there's like 50 of these organizations. It blows my mind. That's our money. That's our money that they're spending on that. Then they're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, billions of dollars to Israel. Like the amount of money that we're sending to other places. How can you take? It's the oldest. Anybody that's ever been through any kind of rehab or any kind of therapy, you can't love anybody unless you love yourself first. So why do we not take care of the people that live here first, and then we could start worrying about the rest of the world?